So this episode is 2 years in the making. I've been begging my next guest to come on my podcast over and over. Every once in a while, I'll send a text. Are you ready? You ready? You're going to come? And her career has been so on fire. And the people that she's helping and the things that she's doing has kept her busy. I know she loves me. I know she wants to do it. So when she finally, we answered my text, she's like, yes, I'll be on. I'm so excited. Varian Brandon has been a friend of mine for probably maybe
Yeah.
about 7 years. And to say that it's a soul connection is actually making light of it. I'm actually going to tear up when I think about it, because Varian and I are very different in a lot of ways, but there's something about the connection that just bursts my heart. And whenever we're together, we were just talking about, I'll tell you when I bring her in. So let me do the official introduction of Varian so we can start talking. Varian is the host of the A.D.D podcast, which you absolutely have to listen to. I will put the link in the show notes. She's a business coach. She's a mindset coach. She's an inspirational speaker. She's a gifted communicator. Is like the lowest denominator that you can talk about the way she communicates with people. She moves people. She moves me. And now she's going to move you. Varian, thank you for being here.
Oh, I cannot tell you what an honor it is to be here. And I'm so excited. And you acting like you've been begging me for 2 years. It's not
I have been
totally
begging you.
true.
All right, I've been texting you like every couple of months. I'm like, now? How about now? How about now? We were talking before we turned on the camera.
Yes,
We got to talk about parents. We got to talk about kids, grandkids, because you're a new grandma.
yes.
But we're also talking about situational friendships. Like you and I, we love each other. We care about each other. We're connected. And I
Mhm.
haven't seen you in 2 years.
Right.
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 And the sadness of in midlife of how, you change jobs, you change careers. We
Mhm.
were in a group together and now we're not in the group together. So the
Right.
reason to be together isn't there. You must have a lot of those relationships just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, and that's such a good term for it. Situational friendships. I hadn't thought about it with through that language, but it's such a good term for it. And it's so wonderful and it is sad all at the same time because it's like you said and we were talking, there are people that you genuinely love. It's not even like, oh yeah, I was in the group with this person and I know them. No, it's like when I think of you, my heart swells. Like you are, I mean, I can think of so many moments and how you just imprinted on my heart. And it's like when I say I love you, it is not hyperbole at all. And then to not see each other, to not talk to each other because we're not in those situations, it's almost like how can those two things exist at the same time?
Especially during COVID, people are learning
Yes.
that's existing now because they're
Yes.
not in the office, so they're not running into those people who they like every day. And
Yes.
by the way, I have a box full of cards from you that I keep to this day. So whenever you sent me one, they went into that box. So, but there's something that you said that I just kind of enjoyed on one of your podcasts. The
Mhm.
most dangerous place to be in 2021 is in your mind by yourself. So since we're well into 2021 and it's really interesting, what did you mean by that?
Because when we are in our minds by ourselves, most of the times as human beings, in my experience, we're always solving for the worst. We're always solving for the worst case scenario, the extremes of what's possible from a negative point of view. And without having those people in your life, mentors, coaches, friends, colleagues, confidants, who can pull you out, or even if they can't pull you out, they can be there with you to help you kind of manage these perspectives and thoughts that you have in your mind. And so it's like to be there, and I know that I used to be a person that was very comfortable and still am being in my mind by myself. But I have the wisdom to know that ain't always a good place for you
No,
to
see,
be.
I was going to ask you about that because you're such a self-assured person.
Yes.
If you looked under the definition of I know myself in the
Mhm.
dictionary, it would be Varian Brandon. You know who you are, you know what you think, you know what you believe, you know what you care about, you know what you value. Right.
Mhm.
So even for you, like how do you decide what's not safe to be around and what is safe to be around in your own mind?
Because what's happens most for me is that I can get really, really comfortable and not challenge myself. And I can also rationalize things very well. that may not be good for my highest best interest as I am endeavoring to grow and to do other things and to expand. If this is the life that and I have a great life. I have a great life. I have a wonderful life. But if this is all that I desire, then it's cool. I can manage it all. But because I have thoughts of expansion and thoughts of growth, to have people with me in my mind, if you will, who can help me see where I am even still keeping myself small because of personality, because of preferences, because of convenience, and those types of things, it's really valuable to have people constantly, and not even necessarily directly, but just because they're with me, expand me and continue to allow me to see what's possible.
I appreciate when people like you, because when someone looks at you, they wouldn't think that Varian would ever think small. They wouldn't think that Varian would, rest on her, comforts. They wouldn't think that Varian needs someone to motivate her to be bigger and grander than she is. So when you admit that I actually do need a posse of people to
Yeah.
keep me growing at my edge, it
Mhm.
means all the more.
Yeah. Especially when you have a good life. It's like that's the thing, that when you have a good life, and I didn't even realize, I was talking to some clients the other day, and I've talked about this before, that even in my job, I was in my career, my most recent career, for like 22 plus years. And it didn't require anything of me that last decade, really, to do my job. I could wake up, I could do my job, almost sleep.
What'd you do? What'd you do before this?
I was corporate sales. So I sold health insurance for one of the big four. And so it's like, it didn't require a whole lot of me. I could do it with the look, just sleep almost. But what I realized when I tried to move into the entrepreneurial nature, it was like, why do I feel wobbly? Why do I feel like I have no confidence at all? And what I realized is, all those years, I didn't have to use courage.
Mm.
So my courage muscles were atrophied. And that really made me understand how having such a good life, if you don't intentionally stretch yourself, intentionally pull yourself forward, a good life will actually have you so deep in your comfort zone that when you try to do something else, it's hard to do.
I
At
think
least
I
that
think
was my experience.
No, like you did it voluntarily, I did it voluntarily, and it's funny because you go from something to completely floundering now as a newbie, and it's like, oh my God, I don't remember how to be a
Right.
neophyte. But 2020, I
Mhm.
think, forced that on
Yeah. Oh,
so
wow.
many people.
Mhm.
For me, 2020, COVID and all this stuff was like a forced midlife.
Mm.
Midlife is when you really need to contemplate and see where I've been, where I'm going. And now people are like, what is my job? Do I have a job? Can I
Mm.
go back to my job? I love being with my family, right? If you're fortunate enough to be financially okay, and really making those decisions. You said something really cool on one of your podcasts,
Mhm.
which I have to put my reading glasses on to read my notes. It says, you don't get to make the money as an entrepreneur without confronting what holds you back. And I just kind of shuddered with that, because I thought becoming a coach was going to be easy because I'm in my zone of genius and I'm good at this. And it's confronted everything, every corner and nook and cranny of my fears, of my inadequacy, of my, all of that stuff, fear of being visible.
Mhm.
My coaching is like the least of it.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Because I mean, that's the skill set. That's the skill set. You know how to do that. We know how to do that. But all the other stuff that comes with building the business of coaching, and doing things, and for me, it's like I I'm much better now, but I still have this image thing that I have, that's part of who I am. And it's like, to be out loud learning, and possibly things not looking the way you want them to look initially. And what if you do this and it doesn't work out? It's all of that. And you have to confront that. Like that, I tried to get around it. There's no way of getting around. I mean, there's no way of getting around it. You have to confront all of those things that you get to not have to look at if you don't want to build something like this, because I am my business. You are your business. And, you know, it's like, I'm not marketing a product that's separate from me. You know, it's like I am marketing, yes, the service of coaching, but people buy me first. They buy my energy. They buy who I am. They
In fact,
buy
your website is just a picture of you and it says Varian Brandon. That's it. You're buying this.
this is what you're buying. But it's like all of those things, and it is continual work. If you continue to grow and want to expand, it continues to be different things that show up that it's like, okay, now you have to confront something else in order
What was one of the more challenging things for you when you first made the switch?
When I first made the switch of, I think it was just putting offers out. It's like we have a mutual friend, Wendy, and Wendy won't tell me one day, she goes, you just got pretty girl syndrome, that you think everything is just supposed to come to you.
I had pretty girl syndrome too, I think.
And I'm like, yeah, because it was different in my corporate career. In corporate career, you show up, you do things, you people see you doing things, you get results, and what do? They come get you and they want you to do something else, and you get pulled higher and higher, and you get accolades and all of these things. But as an entrepreneur, that's not how it works. You have to show up. You have to put offers out into the world. You have to make statements about what you can provide for the marketplace. And that was just all different for me as it relates to me offering something of my own.
You know, it's funny because if people meet me now, they think I'm straightforward. I speak my truth. I ask for what I want. I set boundaries. I say no. Like I do those kinds of things. But that's a result of being a people pleaser with no personality, you know, like with no ability to ask for what I want or set a boundary, and writing a whole book and making it my expertise. So when I see you do your videos and your lives, and when you talk to your people, they, you know, I think people resonate with you because on the surface, it does not look like you had trouble making offers, that you were self-conscious about anything. But when you're talking about it because you've lived through it, I think it resonates with people.
Yeah. And it's like, and I make sure to tell people, because my disposition is confidence. So you're not going to experience a lot of doubt just in my disposition. That's just my disposition. So it's important for me to share that with people, because I do understand that people will see me and they will have the assumption that, oh, everything's always easy for her. She ever worries about anything. She never have thoughts about anything, you know. And
easy to fall into. Yeah.
Right. You know, so now I am sure to give people that insight and backstory that, yeah, absolutely. It's just, yeah.
So I'm curious. You use the word disposition. Your disposition is confidence. What's the difference between your disposition and maybe what's going on inside of Varian?
It's interesting because as I think about that, it's not what happens on the inside for me is situational or in moments. It's not a current. It would be like a heart monitor. Like, this is my disposition on the heart monitor is confidence, confidence, confidence. And I'll hit something that is like I'm unsure about. And that's when it'll be a spike of uncertainty, not sure. Then I'll deal with it. And then it's back to here. So it's like when you are seeing me, what you're seeing is true. Most people just don't see me all the time in those uncertain places because I believe I deal with them rather quickly.
You do. I've seen it.
Yeah, whether it's with myself or I know who to pull in to say, okay, help me. And so I don't linger in places of uncertainty. It's places that I visit, but I don't take up residence in those places. Confidence is my residence, but I would definitely visit uncertainty, doubt, and all that stuff. And I think that's what people see is where I spend most of my time.
Totally. Okay. I see what you're saying there. Thank you. I've been a couple weeks ago, I got really competitive and annoyed with younger, better looking, fit coaches, who are hanging from mountaintops saying, "Follow me to the heights." And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be 59 years old. I'm tired. And I'm comparing myself,
Uh-huh.
and I'm losing in the comparison, right? Always, right? And and uh, and I did my own work on it. Once I realized I was falling
Uh-huh.
into the victim track, I did my work on it, and I was like, oh, there's things I like about these people. There's things that I want to live into, that I want to live up to. And I decided to use that as inspiration for myself, as
Mhm.
motivation. When I see someone doing something, instead of getting jealous, I'm like, I think I want to do that. Am I willing to do what they did to be able to do that? And you
Mhm.
had a podcast called Inspiration versus Comparison. So can you elaborate on that, how you teach that to people?
Yeah, because our first thing when we see something that we want is to be jealous, and it's not malicious because most of us are not saying, oh, we don't want that person to have it. It's like, why can't I have it too? And then what we do to soothe ourselves as humans, we try to then poke holes into why that is or why that's not good. And most of us don't understand that actually, when you feel that way, it's not for comparison, it's for inspiration, it's for you. Actually, it's a invitation. It's an invitation to you that there's something about what they're doing, what they have that you want, and look for it and be truthful about it. It's hard for us to be truthful about it, which is why I believe we miss the inspiration and we go to comparison. But if we can look at it and say, oh, that's an inspiration, because what I can remember a few years back, another friend we have in common, Miss Helen, we were at the event and Helen was talking about all this stuff she was doing in corporate and all of this. And I was sitting there and I was thinking and I was starting to think, and I'm like, oh, I could be doing some of that stuff in corporate. Oh my gosh, look what Helen's doing. And I'm sitting there. And then all of a sudden I was like, you don't want to do that. Like, you don't want to do that at all. You have no desire to go work back in corporate. And in that moment, it was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. But it was an indication for me. But there's something about that is inspiring me. And what is that? Now let me look for what is it that was showing up for me that was now the inspiration and not just the comparison about, oh wow, look at Helen, she's doing that. I need to go do some of that. And it was like, no, you don't. No,
Did
you
you
don't.
figure out what it was that inspired
I did. I can't remember exactly what it was because that's been a few years. I remember how I felt, but I can't remember exactly what the thing was. But I remember getting to it like, oh, okay, that's what I want to do. And then it was like, okay, I'm calm now again. But that's what happens. And now I make a habit of, because like now I have coaches and mentors that run the gamut. I mean, some of them are still in their 20s because I want to be in proximity to all of it. I want to be
Mm.
in proximity to the wisdom of people like us and our age, and I want to be in proximity to the energy. There's a line in a song that's called "Glory" by John Legend and Common. And there's a line in that story that is so powerful for me. It says, we need the wisdom of the elders and the young people's energy, and because it's talking about what it takes to continue to move our world forward, and you need the wisdom of the elders and the young people's energy. And so I've started to really cultivate that in my life and business, staying connected to some of these millennials who are doing all kinds of things, like you say, that you like, okay, there is no even way I can compete with some of the stuff that they do. And so how can I be inspired by it, and then be inspired by those of us who have the wisdom and have the experience and the years under our belt?
Yeah, I'm in a mastermind led by a 30-year-old, who's constantly doing videos without a shirt and that kind of thing. And he's such a wonderful guy, and it's really, I'm in with Helen actually, and
Uh-huh.
and and he keeps bringing these guests, and they're
Mhm.
all young and good looking and so energetic and
I love
so pumped up. And I get off the phone every time. I'm like, I just want a nap. And then I realize, for me, mastering midlife is I want to do the things that I
it.
want to have the impact that they're having, that I can have, but I need
Yes,
to do it my way. Right?
absolutely.
I need to take a
Absolutely.
nap. I need to
Absolutely.
conserve my energy. I need to pick where
Yep.
I'm going to put my energy. All those kinds of things.
Absolutely. You have to translate it. You get it and translate it into your world. Absolutely.
So I'm curious. So for me, I really care about the people who are in the glass buildings, the corporate people, the business people who are just burning the candle at both ends, taking care of their elderly parents, taking care of their kids, taking care of their careers, trying to figure out their relationships and all that stuff. That just bursts my heart, because I'm the guy who stands in the kitchen, because I can't be part of a party. I have to stand in the kitchen and have one-on-one conversations with people. I
Uh-huh.
care about those people. Who do you care about? Who moves you to make you do what you do?
I care about the women who, a lot of them have been really, really successful, but they've been successful on a prescription that was written for them that they really didn't write. It's great, but now they're realizing, I want to do everything my way. I want to live life my way. I want to do everything my way. I want to make money my way. I want to do my house and live where I want to. I want to do everything my way. And that's who I really care about, because so many people live their lives according to other people. And I know it sounds, very trendy because we hear that all the time. But I mean, people, it's amazing the amount of even powerful people who are living their lives according to something else that's not their own agenda. And so I am very passionate about people, their lives and their businesses, building it, sustaining it, and living it exactly how you want to do it. And people think it's not possible, but it is possible if you're willing to be with what that looks like. And a lot of people, they haven't had the opportunity to really look at, okay, what does that mean for me as I do this and really create this life and business the way that I want to do it. And so I'm really passionate about that. I carry the flag for that.
Wow. Hey, so what's the first step? What's the first step? Like I'm in a regular corporate job, and
Mhm.
something I'm just feeling the constraints of everything that I have built up to this point, because I've done it out of a prescription.
Mhm.
But I'm afraid to make the move. Like I can't go wear leopard skin and just go be Varian Brandon today, right? But
Don't you attack my leopard. Don't you attack it.
where where does someone go to just take those baby steps in that
The first
direction?
baby step, I usually tell people, is get really clear on what they want. They need to make themselves the center. Most people are not the center of their lives. I am the center of my life. I am self first in everything. And so it's like, okay, begin to make yourself first and allow yourself to even think about what are the things that you want. Don't figure out right now how you're going to do it, what the impact is. Just allow yourself to really get clear and tell the truth about what you want. And the second step is, now we get to look at, what are you willing to lose in
Mhm.
order to have it. So it's getting really clear on what you want, and then what are you willing to lose? Because I tell people, like, I have a willing to lose list, and almost everything and everybody is on that list. And
Wow.
it doesn't mean that it's a trying to lose, wanting to lose,
Have to
going to
lose and none
lose.
of that, right?
Right. It's willing. The power is in the willingness. And most people are not willing. They haven't even thought through it. And they are tethered to so many things that they can't live their own lives because they're not willing to lose it. And so it's like, you got to decide what you want. And then you got to really think through, what are you willing to lose? Because you cannot negotiate what you're not willing to walk away from.
I'm a little speechless with that. I'm actually taking that in. That's pretty powerful. That has to do with almost everything. What are you willing to sacrifice to do this? What are you willing to do? What fears are you willing to walk through? Like,
Mhm.
when you look at successful people, whether they're successful monetarily, power, or they're doing something authentic that they want to do,
Mhm.
what did they sacrifice? What are they willing to do to get there? And are you
Right,
willing to do it? And that's
right,
always the thing that you come up short.
right, right.
It's,
Because just people, you're not willing to lose list is too long. It's too long. And that's why you feel the pressure that you feel. And it being on the not willing to lose list means that you never even get to experience the fact that most of those things you won't even lose, but you won't even get the experience of it because you won't even put them on the list.
Totally.
And so it's like the more you can put on that list, and because people don't want to lose image, they don't want to lose type. It's so many things, they don't want to lose approval, they don't, all of those types of things. And it's like it just shackles you to a life that's not yours. And it's not something that you check a box off of, because mutual friend and how we met through Rich. I remember a couple of years ago, I was at one of his events, and I'm part of his faculty for one of his groups, and I felt myself being limited, my own self, and it clicked for me. I'm like, oh, and it was like in the middle of a session, and I happened to be sitting next to him, and I said, oh, I realized what's going on for me. I hadn't put you on the willing to lose list.
Mm.
And if you're not on that list, I'm no good for you. And you're not going to be good for me. And it was like, oh yeah, I got to be willing to lose you to access to all.
So hold on, I just want to put that in context for people. This is, this was my coach and mentor for years and years and years. You were coach and mentor for years and years and years. And you turned to him in the middle of being on faculty of one of his groups and realized that you were being careful because you weren't willing to lose him, piss him off, make it disagree, like all that stuff, so that he doesn't get the full Varian brand. And so he out because you're afraid to make waves. Okay, that's, I think.
Yeah, it was like, oh, I did, because it was so subtle. It had crept in subtly, and it's like, because this is a man that I love. He's a huge part of my life and my growth, and it had crept in so subtly, and it was like, oh no.
Yeah. Totally. So what that is for me, that is the biggest advertisement for why we can't, like last week's podcast was that authenticity is overrated, because I don't really believe in authenticity. But that for whatever authenticity is, that is the walking advertisement for why we need to show up fully in every situation, because we bring our gifts, we bring our wisdom, we bring whatever we bring to a situation.
Yep. And I think authenticity is overrated. Of course, I didn't hear that podcast, but from the perspective, like I tell people, being authentic is not a box you check. It's a moment by moment choice every day, because there's always an opportunity for you to be inauthentic. And so that's a moment by moment choice. Okay, am I going to be authentic in this moment when whatever is happening? It's not something that you just check and say, I'm authentic. It's like, no, you're always having to make a choice of whether you're going to be authentic or not. And I don't think that ever goes away. I think that's always going to be a moment by moment choice.
There's a science that's out there called signaling. And, our bodies, our physical bodies, our perceptions, our hearing, our eyesight, everything are reacting to thousands and thousands of little signals all day long as we're moving around. When you and I are talking, we're reacting to signals, and we don't even know how many of those signals are influencing how we're acting in a given moment. And as you say, it creeps in slowly. Okay. So if you don't mind, I'm going to wrap this up soon, but I want to go from topic to topic to topic, because I want to get as much Varian Brandon as I can. But this is something that's really been important in our relationship, our personal relationship. And you said it in such a I'm trying to articulate way that I want to bring it out. So you and I, you have your religious and spiritual views, right? And some of those are opposed to some of the things that are in my life. And you and I had a really wonderful healing conversation around that, where we're not in the same place with something, and it really doesn't matter on a practical level. And what you wrote was, I can hold my conviction in place without making you lose yours. And I've never heard it said that way in this political environment, in this racial environment, in this economic environment. We are in such trouble together being different. And when you, I've never heard it said this way, I can hold my conviction in place without making you lose yours.
Mhm.
What the hell does that mean?
It means that I can be one and fully persuaded with what I'm convicted about, but I don't need you to be convicted by the same thing. And it doesn't have to create unnecessary space between us. I am not trying to make you, whoever, believe or be what I am. I believe because I'm so clear about my conviction, I'm not afraid of you
Mm.
swaying me. And because I'm not afraid of you swaying me, I can be close to you.
The extra piece there for me is I don't have to be afraid of you swaying me. That's what you said in that statement. That's so beautiful. Like people can be around you and don't have to be afraid that you are going to sway them. So now real relationship can show up. It's just exquisite.
I'm not trying to make somebody else be something else. And it was so, uh, please edit this out if I'm not supposed to say this, about something you told me one time at an event that just moved me so, um, I'll never forget it as long as I live. You walked up to me and you said, "Thank you." And so I mean, this is probably 3 years in. So Mark and I, we're in places all the time together during that time. And we talk all the time. And so you walk up to me and you said, "Thank you." And I'm like, "Okay, thank you for what? What are you talking about, Mark?" Because we joke and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And you were like, "Thank you for loving me." And I'm like, "Okay, you're welcome. But why are you thanking me and why wouldn't I love you?" And you said, "I'm a gay man and you are a devout Christian. And yet I feel your love for me." It makes me tear up right now.
We always cry on this podcast because I'm crying now too.
And it moved me so, because I just had never even considered that that would be odd. I had never even considered that it would be odd. And so I don't have to change my conviction to love you. It's like whatever I believe, guess what? I'm not God Jr. Some days I may think I'm God Jr., but I'm not God Jr. And God will take care of whatever He takes care of. My job is to love you as a human, but then I love you as my friend. But that was just such a moving moment for me because I had never even considered that that would be odd. And I can do that because I can hold my conviction and I don't need my convictions to be yours. And I don't need to try to, me accepting you does not negate my conviction.
And that's the absolute exquisite subtlety of whatever it is you bring to this. I wish I knew how to explain and just have people experience it right now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it's so powerful. And I think it's something that like our entire country could actually learn from. And instead of talking past each other, we can somehow really believe what we believe, value what we value, and still value each other.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, I believe that. I totally believe that it's possible. And what's happening in our country is amazing to me. How it's like people just hate people that they don't even know. Like, I can see I not like your political stance, but like to really just like hate people, it's like that just doesn't make sense to me.
Fear.
Like
It's totally fear though. So because you said it in the beginning when you said, I am so clear in my own values and my own conviction and who I am that I'm not afraid that you're going to move me. right?
Yeah.
I'm open to being
What?
persuaded,
Yes.
but we're all so, I get into these arguments and I see myself, I am afraid to lose myself in that thing because I'm afraid of my conviction, and it's all me. So I totally get it. So that's such a brilliant thing. So I'm going to wipe my eyes so I can finish this thing up.
I know, like
Uh, I'm trying not to do it, but it's just screw it. Where can people find you so that they can get more Varian branding?
right now you can find me on Facebook. If you are on Facebook, look up Varian Brandon and you can find me. My profile, you'll find a business page and a profile. Profile is where I am most of the time, and it's public, so you can find me there. Come follow me, hang out with me. That's my home right now. I'm also on Instagram as VC Brandon, but I think if you type in Varian Brandon, it'll pull me up too. But yeah, that's, I'm hanging out most of the time on Facebook, and now I'm moving a little bit to Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can actually, I'll put the link in the show notes, but you can go to Varian's Facebook page and just scroll back in her timeline and get a masterclass in everything that we talked about, because she gives it away for free between her podcast, the Audacity podcast, which I'll put a link in, and all that. It's just being around you. Varian, 2 years in the making, but I'm so happy that we did this.
Yes, I am too. This was so fun. So fun.
So thank you very much. To everybody else, I so love your time and attention, and I appreciate you. Have a great rest of the day.